Hi out there to all of my Facebook followers, listeners, YouTube subscribers, listening and tuning in last second, last moment, didn't give anybody notification, but I'm Jonathan Bengal, the founder of JB Financial, Naked Tax Talk, and also the author of a book called The ABCs of Deductions, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Write-Offs. For the past 18 years, I have worked diligently as an elite tax consultant, and I've created a multi-six-figure company. I've created jobs, and I have saved millions of dollars for my clients. I just recently worked on a project where we are about to save a client over $160,000 in tax savings overnight. And so what I've done is I've actually gone out, and the reason why I've done all of this is because most taxpayers, they fear the IRS. And so what they do is they do not deduct and they underdeduct. And so they continue to grossly overpay the government. And when I saw this, I realized very quickly that one reason is because we don't know what to deduct. Most taxpayers are afraid to take the deductions that they're entitled to the same deductions that companies like Amazon, for example, can deduct as well, the same loopholes that companies like Amazon get to play in, and the same opportunities that Amazon gets to play in. We as small business owners also are entitled to the same rules. So here's what I would like to share with you is that I wrote this book called The ABCs of Deductions. We are getting ready to launch it on June the 26th. It is a pocket-sized book, something you can carry around and put in your pocket. It's an ebook as well, and of course it would be a regular book as well. And I wrote this book, quite honestly, to teach and to inspire us that the government wants us to be successful as business owners, so long as we know how and as we play within the same rules that everybody else plays to. And when we do, what we see is significant savings on our taxes. Like I said, to the tune of millions of dollars like Amazon, or hundreds of thousands of dollars for the average American, or even tens of thousands of dollars for my smaller entrepreneurs. So I'm looking for people to come and join my launch team. If you know me, you love me, and you like me, I'm asking you to please send me a text to UndertheCover to 555-888, Under the Cover. And there you're going to be introduced to SensorBot, who works for me, and he's going to hook you up and put you on the list so that when we get ready to pull the trigger and get this book out to everybody else, you yourselves are going to be entitled to, first of all, a taste of what the book is all about. It's actually going to be the letter A that you're going to get, A. For my Canadian folks out there, A. You're going to get like the actual A for what A is, and you're going to see the style of the book in which it is written, and then, of course, every alphabet thereafter is also written. I promise you this book is not a dry book. I promise you that it's not just another tax book that you can read where we talk about boring sections and boring this and boring that. I promise you that. It is far from that. What it is I'm telling you the purpose as to why that deduction exists, because it's beyond just writing it off. There's actually more behind the write-off. And so I wanted to bring this to you guys so that I can empower every single buddy out there to take full advantage of these write-offs. And here's the most beautiful thing. I was talking to a woman in the Philippines, and we were having this discussion about my book. And to my surprise, not necessarily all 100%, but enough, is that even she herself wants to read this book. And the reason is because nearly every government in the whole world has the same principle, which is we make money as entrepreneurs, you bring it in, and then we have to expense it and reinvest it back into our businesses. And so most governments in the world want us to be successful as we're entrepreneurs. And here in the United States especially, they really want us to be very successful. So I actually set out to, like I said, to write this small book to empower us, to take away that fear of what can I write or what can't I write off, or better yet, the fear of being audited. So here's something else. I actually created a checklist to mitigate and avoid audit risk, meaning that we are going to have a checklist that's going to help you to minimize the audit risk as an entrepreneur and even as a taxpayer. And again, if you send a text message under the cover to 555-888, you're also going to get this PDF, which is going to tell you the common areas of audits and then how to mitigate those audits. Here's another thing, though, too, about audits. One cannot avoid them 100%. Sometimes it's by chance, a lot of it is by error, and sometimes it's just done by studies, as in the government wants to study sectors of industry. But my whole thing about it is you can survive an audit so long as you meet the right conditions. And one of the big conditions that I talk about in the PDF, of course, is documentation. So once again, I'm looking for people to join my launch team for the ABCs of Deductions. It's a small size pocketbook. And if you would love to get a copy and you're watching me right now, let me know right now that you are interested in getting your hands on a copy of this. Also, people who send in the text as well are going to get the first alphabet, the letter A, and you can read it for yourselves and you can see it. Not only that, though, but by being part of my launch team, you're also going to get access to the book before everybody else does, and quite literally be able to take advantage of those deductions and those write-offs literally overnight. So I'd like to, first of all, I'm looking at my comments, and I'm seeing that he's amazing from a Facebook user. I don't have a name, so I can't call you out personally, which is it's tragic. Guilty of the underdeduct. Yes. But listen, here's the thing, right? And people who know me now a lot is I'm not about the shame. So I don't want to use that word guilt, because the truth is that we just don't know as entrepreneurs. We are essentially walking through the fog of ignorance as it relates to our deductions. And now we're being given the gift of being aware of what we can deduct. And then the next step is to employ something called mindfulness about how we take those deductions. And finalement, je veux dire bonjour à Vincent en France. Il me regardait là et je veux dire bonjour. Et oui, j'écris un livre qui s'appelle le ABCs des déductions pour les entrepreneurs. C'est pour le gouvernement, parce que le gouvernement, ils voudraient que nous sommes bénéficiaires de cette déductions. Voilà, je ne sais pas le mot exactement en français, mais voilà, j'ai essayé, d'accord? Bon, je veux dire bonjour à tous mes amis aussi en France et ma famille, s'ils m'ont vu, et aussi en Vincent, bonjour, et j'espère que tu vas bien là en France. Yes, so someone did say they would love to become a partner in my launch team. I don't know who you are because it just shows up on my end as a Facebook user. If you already are connected to me on Facebook, send me a private message. If you're not connected to me on Facebook, just send me a message anyways, and let's get you guys on the list. Again, you can just text 555-888 to UndertheCover. You're going to meet my new employee, SensorBot, who is going to take your information. And then when we start rolling this out even more, you guys are going to be the first to get your hands on this book. And yes, empowerment is everything, because here's what I know about myself and my personal journey. You know, when people bully us and they make us feel less than, like we're not important, by calling us names or basically making us feel through their actions that we're less than, the reason some of that comes about is because we ourselves are believing their bullshit. And once we uncover the fact that they're just being bullshitters, and that at the end of the day, we are the ones who are responsible for our own growth, our own power, that is stepping into it. And when we start to slowly step into it, we begin to build the confidence so that we can move forward. And especially in business, we have the confidence to write off the deductions that we are legally entitled to, like every other major business player out there, especially here in the United States. Michelle, salut, yet another reason I like you so much. Michelle, salut à toi aussi. Je ne sais pas que vous parlez français aussi, mais voilà, français c'est mon deuxième langue. French is my second language. Et je veux dire que c'est la raison parce que je passais du temps en France la première fois quand j'étais 17 ans. Et j'ai gagné un bourse pour aller en France. Et j'étais là pour changer de famille. Et c'est la raison que je parle français. But yes, to me, this is all about truly us being who we are. And it's about the power, and it's about us fully, truly accepting that we are capable of. And here's the thing: the majority of entrepreneurs have the greatest fear of all. And the greatest fear is being caught because they deducted something that they think they could maybe get away with. But here's what I'm going to tell you: as long as we meet certain conditions inside of the law, the deductions that we take, you can take it with with full confidence. And here's something else: when we take deductions, there's always a law typically behind it that is backing us up. If we use loopholes, in which, and what I mean by this, loopholes are essentially ways in which, when the law is written originally, it gets interpreted either through other amendments to the law itself, or through guidance by the Internal Revenue Service in our case, and then ultimately through courts as well, will interpret the meaning of the law, and it can create these things called loopholes. So for example, one loophole, I'll give everybody a freebie right now, is this thing called travel. And if you're in business, traveling is essential. I mean, unfortunately, right now with COVID looming over all of us, it put a lot of us on break. But once the world opens up again and we can travel, Uncle Sam, like in my book, T is for travel. Uncle Sam wants us to get out there and to mingle and commingle and to spread our word of who we are as a business owner and the products and services that we offer. And he wants us to be able to deduct the travel costs, like getting there, like the taxi, Uber, Lyft, paying for the hotels to stay there at the place, the convention fees that we might have to pay, anything that's associated with us having to travel to go to a destination. Now, here's the loophole, and this is a big, huge loophole. The loophole is if I stay one extra day, I still get to deduct the deduction. Now, of course, the hog move is I stay 3 extra days, 4 extra days, and even then, I'm still going to be able to deduct the travel, but with limitations. So at the end of the day, the truth is that the government wants us to get out there and tell the world and to travel. Yeah, Michelle, I mean, I love to travel myself. I'm a huge avid traveler. In fact, my Facebook page is full of travel. Every year we always go somewhere, my husband and I, especially en France. And in fact, one of our things that we want to do in COVID is finally either a treatment or a vaccine is created to get out there and continue our road trips. So we started it last year. We did a road trip along the west coast of France, up the Loire Valley, all the way up and through Paris. We just took a road trip, and I made a whole bunch of video and content for my show that I'm still going to utilize. And then our future is actually to take a road trip along the western border, all the way up from southern France to northern France. So that's our future goal for traveling. But again, here's the thing. Yesterday, I interviewed a coach it's a recorded episode, and he's based out of Germany. And I absolutely loved what he was talking about. And in fact, I may very well consider hiring him as a business coach. Well, guess what? We're doing business together, business to business. And so if I travel to Germany to go see him to get what I need in order to develop my business because it's required, right? Then I may very well have a deduction because it is necessary and it is ordinary. So anyways, I just want to tell the world out there that, again, I created this book called The ABCs of Deductions. I am super excited, guys. I cannot express to you how excited I am about it. I can't even believe I wrote this book. And I've been actually an avid writer since I was 14 years old. I started recording my life at the age of 14 in my journals. And I wrote every single day all the way up until I was about 26 years old. And like all great philosophers, there's this gap of journaling from the age of about 26 almost until about 32 or so. And then I get back into journaling. And so I've been doing it ever since. But I love to write. That's the other truth. I love to talk, in case you guys can't tell. And I love to educate people. I love to bring to people, to empower them so that they can take control of their own lives. Because I know, and I remember as a young boy hearing this, that you can take away my freedoms. You can take away everything around me, my homes, my loved ones, my cars, you can take it all away. But there's one thing you cannot take away from me, and that is my knowledge. That is the education that I took and that I ultimately have learned and I have applied and I have assessed. And this is true for every single one of us. And the last other thing I also learned is that we all temporarily walk through this thing called the ignorance of fog of ignorance. We don't really have the freedom of choice in this particular case while we're walking through fog. But it isn't until we become aware, because we meet somebody that knows something a little bit more than we do, whether it's a spiritual guide, be it it's a tax planner like myself, be it a lawyer, be it whatever, they give you a degree of awareness. And now we have the freedom of choice, because now we can decide, do we go left or do we go right? Now we have a choice to say, do I deduct my travel expense based on the circumstances in which I'm about to embark? Now we have a choice. And the last step is the mindfulness, which is to say, okay, each time I know I'm about to travel somewhere, I will remember I can deduct my travel costs as it relates to travel somewhere. And by the way, everything that we say always has limitations. It's maybe my third book, all right, called Limitations Do Apply. But the point is this is available to us. You see, let's not be upset with the Amazons in the world, of the Googles and everybody else out there. Let's not be upset with them that they almost pay zero taxes, that they have effective tax rates of maybe 5-10% at max, right? In the billions of dollars. Let's not be upset with that. Let's instead look at that as inspiration, and to go, well, golly Moses, I want to be the one who's also going to make those millions of dollars. And I too also want to pay a very low effective tax rate. And here's what I can share with you. You do, and you can, and you are entitled to as a business owner. So, Michelle, merci beaucoup aussi. If you'd like to read my book, yes, it is going to be available June 26th. Get a preview of it. 555-888 to Under the Cover, and let us have an amazing gay old time reading it and exploring it. So until then, if you'd like to hook up with me outside of this, and if you yourself are watching this and you are a business owner and you're wondering, well, great, now that I have an idea of my deductions and write-offs, what's the next step? Well, the next step is the strategies, and that's really where tax planners come into play. So let's get naked at nakedtaxtalk.com. Let us connect. If you'd like to join my mailing list in terms of getting all of our updates as we launch videos, or we send out new information, new updates as it's hot and bothered, 555-888 to Let's Get Naked. And that will also get you on my list. So until then, once again, I am looking forward to releasing this book, The ABCs of Deductions, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Write-Offs. And I promise you again, it is not a convoluted, boring, college-driven, written, boring-ass tax book. And we all know what I'm talking about. Instead, it is written in light, it is written with purpose, and it is written to empower us so that we can rise up and so that we can take advantage of the same rules that these big-ass mega corporations take advantage of. Until then, until next week, when I talk about my second chapter of my walk across the Camino de Santiago, where we explore the city of Zubiri and moving into Pamplona. And again, I will tie it back to our life experience and ultimately to our tax lives. Until then, I'll see you guys later.